We've all experienced this. You meet someone new, or maybe just an acquaintance. You start the usual small talk. Hi, how are you? Followed by predictable questions like, so, what do you do? Or, which team are you in? After a bit of polite exchange comes the dreaded awkward silence. I've been there countless times, not only at work, but in all sorts of social settings. Meeting a distant cousin at a wedding you haven't seen in years, or chatting with a stranger at a bar. But imagine if you could talk to anyone and never run out of things to say. The truth is, all of us deal with some level of social anxiety. That's what creates the awkwardness, though we each experience it differently. Personally, I've unlocked what feels like the advanced level of awkward encounters, without any cheat codes. Over time, I came up with 3 methods that help me talk to anyone with ease, and almost never feel awkward again. At first, I thought something was wrong with me, that I was too shy, not confident enough, just a little socially clumsy. But then I realized, around people I'm comfortable with, I'm the complete opposite. Talkative, funny, relaxed. So I asked myself, what's really happening here? How can the same person act so differently? What I discovered is that it wasn't about confidence at all. It was about skill. I hadn't learned the art of small talk. And just like any other art, whether it's playing an instrument or writing poetry, talking to people is a skill you can absolutely practice and master. After years of trial and error, and by observing people who were naturally great at it, I found there are only 3 key things you need to do to talk to anyone. Naturally, fluently, and without running out of words. The best part? You can apply them immediately. Let's start with the first one. Say someone mentions, I'm going golfing this weekend. You could just respond, oh, that's nice, and then stare into the void while awkward silence fills the air. Or you could ask intentional follow-up questions like, where do you usually play? How long have you been golfing? That naturally leads to more questions. Do you play in competitions? Are you part of a club? You might not care about golf at all, but here's why it matters. First, it shows that you're interested in what the other person has to say, or at least gives that impression. Second, it removes awkward pauses and gives you control of the flow. When you think about it, a conversation is really just a chain of questions and answers, and the person asking the right questions usually leads the direction of that conversation. But to do this effectively, you need to master the second method. Most people assume that to become a better speaker, you have to speak more. But here's the paradox. To truly improve your communication, you have to listen more. That means actively listening, not just waiting for your turn to reply. Because our minds love to wander. We start crafting our next response before the other person even finishes talking, which often makes us say something completely off topic. If you instead focus on actually listening, you'll notice details that help you ask better, more meaningful questions. And that's what keeps the conversation flowing. As the famous quote goes, most people don't listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. Don't be that person, there are already enough of them. Now, the final piece, finding common ground. We instantly connect with people who share similar experiences or interests. Sometimes it's obvious, like you both love golf. Other times, it takes a bit of digging, but with the right questions, you'll always find something in common. Once you discover that shared interest, guide the conversation in that direction, and it'll start flowing naturally on its own. Of course, not every conversation will go perfectly. There will be times when things just fall flat or silence creeps in. When that happens, learn to be okay with it. Silence isn't your enemy. It's just a pause and it always passes. But if you use these 3 methods consistently, asking curious questions, listening deeply, and finding common ground, you'll be able to talk to anyone, anywhere, and never run out of things to say.